Okay, so here we are in Ableton Live, and this is my homemade synthesized electric guitar experiment. It's not intended for screeching solos or anything like that. It's just I just wanted something that would provide a few little licks here and there to punctuate a song. So it's all made with Ableton Live's tension. In fact, none of the stuff here uses any external plugins. It's all Ableton Live stuff, right? So anyway, no electric guitar sounds that great out of context. It needs to be in a song. But anyway, I don't think that sounds too bad. You know, once you have all your effects on the end, then, you know, it sounds reasonable. Right, okay, so it's made with, as I say, Ableton Live's tension instrument. So you need Ableton Live Suite version. And this thing is a way of creating sort of plucked string instruments. And it's difficult to know how all these things work. So I can't give any real definition of all these things. You know, you do have to read the manual. And I set this up a few weeks ago and I can't remember how it all works, but you've got your thing representing the plectrum here, the excitator, and I've got these settings. It sort of emulates how much of the plectrum is hitting the strings, that kind of thing. So if you want to copy the same thing, you know, just copy what I've got here. What's this termination? I don't know what this termination thing does. But it's better to have it not than not have it. And this damper, I think, is quite important. What if I don't have that? I was convinced that made a huge difference. Doesn't really sound like it's making much difference, to be honest, but that is. And that is, I can hear that's making a difference. Now, the thing is, it's so subtle, and it depends on what sort of sound you like. So there's no definitive settings. I mean, I tweaked for hours and hours and hours trying to get a sound here. And, you know, so you could go on tweaking forever. But anyway, I got, that's the basic instrument. There's nothing set up on this section, the filter tab. And then after that, I've got, well, let's see what we got here. I can drive it a bit. That sounds awful. There's a sort of faux wah effect as well. So you can have a subtle amount of wah. String damping. You might want to do a bit of rockabilly. Anyway, I'm not into metal really, so whatever. Right, and the only effects I've got on here is I just added a bit of delay, a delay effect, and this wah thing, and some reverb. So the wah control is simply these two channels here. I've got yeah. So what I've got is I've got an auto filter, I've got an empty track here for the dry, and a wah channel, and you know, it graduates between the two, and that's mapped to this control here. And what do we got here? We've just got an auto filter with, so the wah is controlled by this bandpass thing here, set to sort of 888 hertz, 40 res, bit of drive, and a certain amount of LFO, and the rate here is also mapped to here, wah rate. So that's all that is, just a simple auto filter giving a sort of fake wah thing. After that, I've got a saturator which provides the drive. So the drive and the wet dry are mapped to this drive button here. And the saturator is simply a hard curve. Nothing changed other than that. I've got the soft clip on. So that provides a bit of overdrive. Cabinet, this makes a bit of difference actually. Hang on, let's turn the volume up. Because if I don't have that on, it's more brittle. So this kind of smooths it out. And I've got a 4x12 speaker, neon axis condenser dual, 100% wet. Simple delay. I just like that. Just a little bit of that, and all that is a 3 on the left, 2 on the right, and the feedback and the dry wet are mapped to macro controls. Bit of reverb, size 5. This is just a standard Ableton Live reverb, size 5, decay time 1.5 seconds. Dry wet mapped to the macro control, and I think everything else is pretty much default settings. Utility just to adjust the volume a bit, and a compressor, yeah, which might make a bit of difference for you. Limiter, of course, right. So that's the basic guitar thing. Now, one of the reasons I wanted this was I wanted a sort of a funk thing, you know, those funky licks you hear. And of course, you know, you could go for something like Native Instruments, Scarby Funk Guitarist.
At your service anytime you need the funk. Ready to play the rhythm track you want, exactly the way you want it, with the quality you'd expect from Native Instruments and Scarby. The sound is incredible.
Now, I think that costs, I don't know, $100 or something like that. And, you know, in the right hands, I'm sure that's a fantastic device. It's very tempting just to buy it. But I doubt if I would really get my money's worth. I'd probably mess about with it for a few minutes and then, you know, not do much with it. So, hence this little experiment with tension. And I discovered something interesting about this thing, which kind of helps the whole funk issue. So if I switch to this channel, now I've got the same thing here, but with slight, you know. So I've got all the same controls and effects here, but there's a few subtle differences here to demonstrate something. Now I've got two here, and of course a key aspect of funk rhythm guitar is the down and up strokes. You know, that sort of rhythmic pattern. So I've got both here. Now, if we just solo this downstroke, now notice I've got here a MIDI effect on the beginning here. So the chord effect is going to play a minor chord, and if I just, so you hear the strings all separated. Isn't that cool? How's that happening? How's that work? You know, that's kind of emulating a slow strum, and that's this thing here. So when I hover over that, it says the exciter velocity key. This slider sets how much the exciter's velocity will be not modulated by note pitch. So it's the different notes that is causing the delay between them. So that's good to know. Now, you have to be very subtle how you set these, but if I change this velocity, that separates the notes more or less depending on how I have this set. And actually, it is heavily influenced by how hard you hit the keys, or, you know, how hard the velocity of the original note is. So if I press it softly, so if I speed it up, so that sounds more like a natural strum with, you know, the lower strings just playing. And that's with a minus value set here. So on the upstroke, it works the other way around. This velocity is set slightly differently. That's about the only thing that's different. But on the upstroke, it works the other way. Again, if you change this, it speeds it up. So it's quite subtle, but subtlety, I guess, is what gives something its unique sound. So anyway, there's the basis for a downstroke and an upstroke. So if I now go over to this track, I've got a downstroke and an upstroke. In fact, I've got two. This is just a slightly different sound. It's just these two here, right? And they're in an instrument rack, and I'm controlling which of these is played by using an LFO MIDI device, which you get if you've got Max for Live. So this comes bundled with Ableton Live Suite. If you haven't got this, then you probably haven't got tension anyway, so that's probably a bit of a non-starter. But what I've got is I've got this mapped to the chain selector at 8th notes, so that it fluctuates between these two channels on 8th notes. Right, so I've got this I've got this little MIDI pattern here which just plays these chord stabs, and bearing in mind that we've now got this delay introduced, which kind of provides the, you know, it sort of emulates a strum. It means that in our MIDI notes we don't have to mess about, you know, staggering these to try and simulate a strum. These can all be quantized, and all you have to do is you have to put your downstrokes, you know, in the right place, and the upstrokes in the right place, and then this LFO thing will take care of whether it does a downstroke or an upstroke. Get it? That's just the downstroke. So, yeah, well, you know, there you have it.